Peace. Shout out to the tribe. It's your brother Makai. I welcome you to my channel. This is the continuation as I'm talking about shamanism. Today I'm going to talk about the shamanic tree of life and the three worlds. But before we get into it, I want to give my thanks and my gratitude to the Creator, the Prime Creator, Mother Nature, Mother Earth. I'm thankful for everything, for life itself today, for the ability to comprehend, to understand and overstand. I'm thankful for the information that's been disseminated to me for me to share with the family or the tribe. I'm thankful for a place to stay, food to eat, money in the bank, businesses, talents, gifts. I'm thankful for the good things in life and bad things because it is balance. I'm thankful for the victories and I'm thankful for the failures because everything that I've been through thus far has gotten me here. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the things I understand and the things that I have yet to understand because it makes life more fulfilling. It makes life more exciting. I'm thankful for the hidden knowledge that I haven't perceived yet, and I'm thankful for the knowledge that I have. So I ask that the divine feminine spirit, the divine masculine spirit, the creator, the gods known and unknown, continue to disseminate this information to me so that I may transmute this information and pass it on to the people so that they may get a better understanding of shamanism and how to apply it to their lives. Well, before I spoke about shamanism in general, as in the different healing techniques that the shaman would perform on the client. Today I'm going to speak of these three worlds a little more in depth. But the key to reaching these three worlds is through trance, through a rattle, through drum. But it's just like a hermetic principle that everything is mental. The universe is mental. This is the same concept. You access these worlds via the shamanic tree of life, but it all starts in the mind. This is why you trance and you kind of like punch out. And so the roots of the tree represent the underworld. This is where you would deal with the dead, the ancestors. And it's mainly about wisdom, power, and transformation. The upper world would be dealing with the higher frequencies, which would be angels, archangels, celestial energy, the stars, the cosmos, and the ethereal spirits. The Mundi access, or the shamanic tree of life, is directly connected to the cosmos. This is what gives it the abilities to travel up and down, because down is up and up is down. You can go deep down into the underworld and keep going and going and going and arrive at the top of the upper world. And not, don't let me get sidetracked, but and the middle world is this realm, but it's beyond the veil. So imagine the earth, but it's beyond the veil of what the eye can see. And since the middle world is where we are, I'll go into the middle world first. So the middle world is the earth, like I said, but it's beyond the veil, as in the different dimensions within this earth realm. You have here what will be called nature beings, or the soul aspects of nature, where we can deal with the past and the future of Earth. Give a prime example. I used to do an exercise where I would go outside and I would place my hands on trees and I would close my eyes, and the tree literally would take my mind back to that same neighborhood, but I would see it like 20 years before. So I would see the homes, I would see the people. It was an amazing experience. I mean, I did this quite often, and I would go to different neighborhoods and it would literally, the tree is full of wisdom and knowledge. It would literally, take me back in time and allow me to see. I mean, trees have been around for a very, very long time. That was one technique I would do. Another one I would practice is pulling energy from the tree, or giving energy to the tree, or putting a stone in the dirt, giving an offering to the tree. These are just different things that I tried, or different techniques, or different experiments, so to speak, that I did because I wanted to get a closer relationship with nature. I wanted to, I didn't really understand why I was doing it. It was just kind of like a natural, automatic thing that it just called me. I just drew to it. But in this physical world, or the middle world, so to speak, we have the elements. Now you'll hear me say earth, air, fire, water. But we can break them down even more. And you have the gnomes, and they are beings of the earth. And you have the undying, or the mermaids. They're beings of the water. And you have the sylph, which is the beings of the air. And then you have the salamanders, which are beings of fire. Now, the gnomes come from a Latin term, which means earth dweller. They are guardians of the plants. They are guardians of the animals. The ironic thing is a lot of people don't know that there are categories of these gnomes. And you have from different places. So you have gnomes from the forest. Very rare. Very rare. They don't come in contact with humankind. Then you have garden gnomes. They live in old gardens. Okay? Then you have the dune. They're larger and their clothes are torn and tattered, but where do they live? In the dunes. Then you have the house. The house gnomes are the gnomes that have the most knowledge of man. They can even speak human language. This family in particular, the house gnome, is where they elect their kings. So you have king gnomes. So there's a hierarchy or a system in which the gnomes live in. Then you have what's called the farm gnomes. They resemble the house gnomes, but they're more conservative in nature. And then you have the Siberian gnomes. They're the largest of the gnomes, and they're nasty. They have a nasty disposition, and they delight in revenge. So I don't recommend going out here trying to invoke or conjure up these gnomes if you don't know what you're doing. By no way should you just do something and not have full understanding of what it is you're doing. And like I said, you can think of them as these, little short guys with the beards, but they're no joke. We're talking about beyond the veil here. We're talking about stepping into realms of reality and consciousness that your mind needs to be ready to perceive these things. So it's not just you go get a book and read and go. This is training. If you can find a teacher, I would recommend that, so you can be under the guise, or someone can instruct you and tell you the pros and cons to what you're doing. Gnomes have been known to release animals from the traps that men have set. On farms, gnomes will tend to neglected farm animals. And so it's amazing. They also protect minerals, hidden treasures, stones in the ground, amethyst, all the rocks. This is their domain. The ironic thing is they are vegetarians, so to speak, or they don't eat any meat. They eat like nuts, fermented honey, fermented raspberries. So the gnomes are the earth aspect in the middle world. So within the middle world, as these things we're talking about, vegetation, animals, these energies or entities, if you like, you can call them that, would be the energies or the energy that you should work with in regards to plant life, animals, nature, things of that, So then we'll go to the sylphs. And the sylphs are the element of air. They're invisible and light. They say they are beautiful and harmonious, and they're over clarity, transparency, and detachment from things that's not suitable for you. They have the power over the wind and clouds and even the weather. So if we think back to our ancestors, probably the first shamans, Native Americans, when they did their rain dances, or they prayed. Now we understand from this information that when they were praying for rain, that even though it's water, they're calling it from the sky, which they're tapping into the upper world, calling on sylphs, because they control the weather and they needed rain for their crops. So now, if we know that gnomes are over the plant life, and the sylphs is over the weather, then we need to use them together to pull down the rain to saturate the crops. It's ironic too, because Osiris was a god of vegetation, because everything just comes back full circle to nature. Okay, I don't want to get sidetracked because my mind's all over the place right now. The next we would have is the mermaids. The mermaids, or the undines, represent the water element. This water element, the mermaids, they have the ability, they're empaths, that they can feel emotions of humans and animals alike. They are in direct correlation with the dream world in regards of lucid dreaming. And like I said, telepathy. And they can hear and project thoughts into animals and non-humans and animals. And they also have the ability to manipulate water, which is called hydrokinesis. They can make the water form into different shapes. They can speed it up. They can slow it down. So they're pretty powerful. And we're still in the middle world because we're going over the elements: earth, air, fire, water. Earth was the gnomes. The sylphs was air. The mermaids was water. And then we have what's called the salamanders. They deal with passion, willpower. They're dangerous if you don't have any earth element or any earth qualities, because earth can ground fire. You want to put out a fire, you just pour dirt on it and it'll smother. The reason that the salamanders are directly related or in correlation to fire is because when they would cut the wood, the salamanders would be under. And then when they would light the fire wood, they would see salamanders coming from beneath the logs or beneath the wood. And this is how the salamander got synonymous with the element of fire. It is even said every time a fire is lit, that a salamander is present. So this is just the middle world, and those are the elements: earth, air, fire, water. Okay, and the shaman respects all sorts of life. Everything has vibration, from this pen to this piece of paper. Everything has vibration. And gratitude is the attitude. I'm thankful for the chair that I'm sitting on. I'm thankful for the light that's emitting, the phone that's recording me right now. Your mind frame has to be in an appreciative place, because everything that we have is not by chance. And it is absolutely a blessing and an honor to have these things bestowed upon us, because there's a lot of people out there that don't have the things that we have. All right, and that was the middle world. Now we are going to talk about the upper world. So the upper world is when the shaman travels the tree of life and goes up into the branches, it is about higher-minded thinking. It is to see life from a whole other perspective and to distance yourself from difficult situations. The upper world is above the earth. So most of the time, or probably always, either a spirit helper or a power animal will help the shaman spirit or soul go to these higher places of consciousness. And so the upper world represents just that, as in looking down into a situation and being able to see it from a higher perspective. Sometimes when you're in it, you can't see, so you got to get out of it. So what do? You travel up to look down to get that bird's eye view. And this will give you a greater clarity, because traveling up is more about wisdom and understanding yourself from a higher perspective. Because remember, the tree connects to the cosmos, which is above us, from where we came. Based on your zodiac, whether you're saying Native American zodiac or the traditional zodiac, we all have a constellation, and that you came down through into this vessel. So it makes sense for the tree to go through the cosmos, because we need to have that higher level of consciousness to come down into this vessel, like your kingdom, the information comes down, so that you can receive the information. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the underworld. This is where the spirit of the dead reside. This is where your ancestors is passed on. The underworld is more about power and transformation. Down in the underworld, the different spirits can come to you in any shape. They can come as an animal. They can come as a tree. They can come as wind. There's no restrictions when in the underworld. But the underworld is definitely a place that you would go to overcome like your childhood traumas or overcome negative aspects of yourself. It directly deals with spiritual growth. So going to the underworld or to that place of solitude is where you could do the infinite shadow work. You can do this on your own. A lot of these things I'm speaking to you about, all you need to do is maybe go to YouTube and find a drumming frequency that resonates with you, and sit still. And maybe before you even have this, you petition. Hey, great mother spirit, please take me on a trance, or I access the shamanic tree of life. It's all about your intentions and what it is you want to do. So you can travel to these worlds for self-reflection. You don't have to be a shamanic practitioner and do this for someone else, because you essentially want to do it for yourself first, so that you understand how it works and you build up a relationship with your power animal. I'm going to be talking about how to find your power animal, but not this video, another video. So visiting the underworld is where you do your shadow work, and you can get information from the ancestors. You may be fighting against generational curses, and you may not be aware of what they are, and your family may not speak to you or tell you. You can go to the underworld. You can petition your ancestors and go into a trance and go see your loved ones who passed on. Now you got to be ready for it mentally. Like I said, this is not something that you just kind of jump into. I mean, if it calls to you, obviously you just go with it. But this is a real thing. I've had real experiences personally myself. So I would recommend, if you're interested in shamanism, you need to get an understanding of what you're doing. You need to get an understanding of. And when you go to these places, it doesn't look like what you think it's going to look like. I mean, you may see some elements that kind of resemble reality, but a lot of the experiences I had, it was nowhere near what I expected. Since it's a moon day, I'll give you one story. I had an experience where I was tested, and I was in this room sitting at a table, and the man on the other side of the table, he had on a black hat, he had a cigar in his mouth, and he was holding a gold, diamond encrusted cane. And he's sitting there and he says, "Okay." It was a table. It was a gold cane. Man, it was like, I think it was like a bucket, like of gold, and it had like jewelry and diamonds all in it. And then it was the last one was like a book. Or I want to say, yeah, it was a book. think it was some type of diary. I don't know. It was some type of book. And he asked me, he said, select whatever you like. And me, I said, well, man, I couldn't decide. So I said, well, I'll take the cane. So I take the cane, and I failed the test. He said, no. He said, why did you only take the cane? And I took the cane because I was being modest. Oh no, I don't want to take everything. And he said, it was all yours. Why didn't you take everything? Why are you standing in your way, limiting yourself from going to the places that you need to go? So you thought you were being modest, but why not take it all? Because everything that's bestowed, everything that is given to us, we give. My pain is your gain. So that test was very powerful. And I always said to myself, wow, I need to take that attitude back to the middle world with me and understand it's not about being selfishness or being selfish. Because a lot of times we don't feel that we deserve these blessings that we receive. But you have to open yourself to receive it, because your life was predestined and you signed a contract when you came down here. And so the lesson in that was my mind was too small. I wasn't thinking big enough. I wasn't seeing the total picture of that situation. But it was an amazing experience that I needed to have to kind of reprogram my mind and get it out of the traditional thinking. Because when you come from poverty, when you come from disenfranchisement, your mind is kind of programmed in a different way. Work hard, but it's really work smarter, not harder. It's easier to achieve things in a team setting than it is individual. So it's kind of like I have a team. You can't see them, but they're here with me. And so we must understand that. They say teamwork makes the dream work. But you got to utilize your guides. You got to utilize your ancestors, because you signed a spiritual contract. These are your cheat codes. So this whole shamanism, what I'm talking about, is more than just healing, but it's healing of the self. It is preparing yourself for transition. Because the only thing that you can take from this reality is your consciousness. This whole thing is an illusion. So it's business. So a lot of things that we take personal from individuals, we shouldn't, because it's just business. A murderer is a murderer. That's their job. That's what they do. A hater is a hater. That's their job. That's what they do. It's not your responsibility to change anyone. The only one you're supposed to change is yourself. You're not here to change people. You can't save people. You need to save yourself. When the Titanic was sinking, you saw them little dinghies. Get on your dinghy impact. And it's a one-man dinghy. Why? Because spirituality is an individual sport. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the energy. You have to be willing to be dedicated to your craft. You have to be willing to make sacrifices and let go of things that are hindering you, whether they're relationships, jobs, material things. The first mind frame you have to get is an attitude of gratitude. Be thankful for everything. But if you're doing this for money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You should be doing this because you love the people, the plants, the animal. You want to love from a cosmic perspective. Cosmic love is the highest form of love. Earth love is the lowest love. You got a lot of humans that's operating in earth love. That's like you give a dog a bone and he comes to you. That's earth love. Cosmic love is a deeper love, which has more power, because love is the greatest power in the universe. So this is part 2. I guess it's going to be a part 3. I think the next video I'm going to talk about power animals and how you find yours, the symbology of the different power animals. But before I go, as I usually do, I would like to pull out a card and see what Spirit has for you today. Oh yeah. By the way, I figured I'd show you guys one of the books that I utilize. It's been very helpful in my journey, and it is called, you get this right off Amazon. I don't get a plug for this. I actually saw this at Ali's for like $8. Very deep and insightful book. Something I recommend you get. Really good book. It's helped me to get a greater understanding. The more you get into this shamanic thing, I deal with specifically the animals. And it's just been fulfilling. I would recommend this to anybody. I get to go to the beach and meditate, punch out of this world as much as I possibly can. I know I signed a contract to come here, but there's certain days that I don't want to be here. I mean, we have seen a lot of crazy things that I won't even get into because I don't even want your minds to go there. But listen, so today is going to be an amazing day for you on this moon day. Let's see what card the Spirit wants you to have today. Let's see. It is the dove. The dove. It's pretty high. It says, symbolism, sexuality, peace, divine inspiration. The dove has long been associated with female sexuality and maternity. Early pagans considered the dove a symbol of the female sex organs. In Christian faiths, in which the dove is primarily a symbol of peace and divine inspiration, linked to the dove to sexual reproduction. Although Christ was born of a virgin, he was conceived by the Holy Spirit, which is represented by a dove. In Greek mythology, Aphrodite, the goddess of love, was born from the egg nurtured by a dove. Self-explanatory. You need peace in your life. The world is chaotic right now. You need peace in your life. You need to punch out of this world and go to that happy place. Take yourself back to your childhood if you could find any good memories of the past, because the whole universe is mental. This is the mainframe that controls the vessel. This is the as above, and what's down here is the below. So when you transform your mind, you change your life. But you need peace, because out of chaos comes order, and the very chaotic. So you need